Aaron Whitlow.
Brandon Spivey from the Mark Out Movie Podcast.
Brandon's choice. Brandon, what are we talking about?
We're talking about basic, man. Basic. Basic training, basic.
Is that what basic is for? Basic training. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Oh, my Lord. Yes, Aaron.
You did not down on me.
Why'd you think it's called basic?
I don't know. I never knew this. 2003 Basic. A DEA agent investigates the disappearance of a legendary Army Ranger drill sergeant and several of his cadets during a training exercise gone severely awry. Starring, once again, the duo returns together, John Travolta, Samuel Jackson. Also, we have in here Connie Nielsen, Tim Daly, Giovanni Ribisi, Brian Van Holt, a very young Tay Diggs, Dash Mihawk. Nobody else is really, other than Harry Connick Jr. Only other person I think is worth mentioning.
Yeah, I forgot Harry was in this, to be honest.
This is when Harry was in everything. Well, because he got Independence Day. He got Independence Day for just like 2 seconds. And I think it was like a romantic comedy he might have been in around the same time too.
Yeah, he did Hope Floats with Sandra Bullock. He was in Will and Grace, I believe, as a recurring role. I have never seen it, but I know that's kind of his big deal-ish role.
He's a singer.
He is? Really?
Yeah, he's like really a real life recorded artist. He has albums.
I didn't know that. I think this and Hope Floats, I think it's what it's called with Sandra, and Independence Day is the only thing I've ever seen him in. So I'm not very familiar with Harry Connick Jr., but it was a surprise to see him in this.
I would say that this is when John Travolta and I would say Nicolas Cage were both like making big moves. Were they considered maybe A-listers? I would consider Travolta still an A-lister at this time.
Yeah, but this is around the time he started to go down to. This flopped. It was supposed to be a franchise, and it flopped. So I think this was right before Battlefield Earth, though, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's right before it, because then he made a disastrous decision to make that, and it ruined his career. And he really hasn't really recovered from it.
Battlefield Earth came out, I want to say 99.
Okay, it was after Battlefield Earth. So
I want to say, I might be wrong, but Battlefield Earth was definitely a flop. I worked in the movie theaters at the time when Battlefield Earth came out, and I remember thinking and I had no idea about Scientology. I just knew that was a terrible movie. That's all I knew. Just 2000. It came out in 2000.
Okay.
Battlefield Earth. But he had a resurgence with Pulp Fiction, kind of resurged his career.
Yeah.
He was big in the 70s. I would say. But I think
he's very big. He's very big in the 70s. Yeah, he had Saturday Night Fever, then he had Grease.
90s, he had Look Who's Talking.
Yeah.
Movie. Late 80s, early 90s, I guess.
Yeah, then he had a dry spell until he got Pulp Fiction. Because everything he did after Look Who's Talking was, I think, a flop. And then he got Pulp Fiction and it resurrected his career. He ended up becoming an action star.
Pulp Fiction, wasn't Pulp Fiction predated Look Who's Talking, right? Or no?
No, after.
Oh, it was after. Okay.
Yeah.
So, because he was, okay, yeah, because the big name in there was Christy Alley. I guess Bruce Willis. Bruce did the voice.
Bruce did the voice, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, this movie right here, man, I thought it dawned on me while I was watching it, Brandon. I was like, oh, this is another movie with Samuel Jackson and John Travolta in it together. I'm like, oh man. And I was thinking about it. I was like, man, but the way the story is set up, like they are not going to interact with one another. And that's what I was thinking. I was like, man, it's, like I totally forgot all about this movie. I forgot the plot. I forgot what happened. I forgot everything. Uh, I do remember seeing it back in the day, but I didn't recall it. It also reminded me of the General's Daughter, and I think I was being confusing it with that movie.
How does it remind you of the General's Daughter, though?
Just in the sense of came out around the same time. Isn't Travolta in the General's Daughter?
Yeah, he is. But he
So
plays a completely different kind of character.
I know, but I'm saying that it was around that same time, and I kind of thought this movie was that movie or that other movie. You know,
Yeah.
I can only honestly say I haven't seen this one. It's probably my second time seeing it in my life. Basically.
It's probably my third. I saw it in theaters, and I saw it, I think, one time after that. But, you know, I've always enjoyed it. I've always enjoyed Travolta in it. I think he's just a cool guy. You know, when he plays this type of character, he's just cool. It's like if Danny from Pulp Fiction was a good guy. You know, you're drawn to him. You can't help it. But, I mean, I like the movie. I do. My only gripe in this movie, truly, is you don't get him and Sam until the very end. You get 5 minutes of it, and if that had been the whole movie, if say you take Connie's character out and it's Sam they're doing it together. It's a completely different movie. It's a more entertaining movie, although I do think it is entertaining. But I think if you do that instead, it's a hit because you're getting both. You know
what I got from it. My biggest thing that was the most distracting thing in this movie to me was Connie's accent. She tried to do like a southern drawl.
Yeah, a lot of people have said that.
Every time she did it, I was like, ooh, it just doesn't sound authentic. Where you had somebody like Harry Connick Jr., who naturally comes off as southern, I guess, comes off as realistic. John Travolta is great. Samuel Jackson, it was in his bag in this movie. He was so good and so believable as this drill sergeant or whatever.
Just didn't get enough time with him. I mean,
no.
You know, it's what is. You know, I like the movie. I just if I would have been, you know, pitching this movie, I would have been pitching. Well, we need to have more Sam in this movie. Like this is a reunion of Travolta and Sam from Pulp Fiction. You gotta have more interaction than the end. I mean, so that is my biggest gripe, and it's a huge gripe because I think people that did go see this movie were expecting Sam and Travolta to have a lot of screen time, and you don't get that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you in the sense of like, I feel like if I was to build this movie, I would totally build it as like and recut it this way, like the reunion of Samuel Jackson and John Travolta since Pulp Fiction, and that way you can see, you know, them two on the screen together because you had John Travolta playing a very interesting character. He was very interesting, very mysterious, very rebellious.
Yeah.
He's the character. You had Connie as the straight man, straight woman in a sense, in this movie. Then you had Samuel Jackson in flashbacks up until you know. But I just was, and then like I was watching it, and I'm like, it dawned on me while I was watching. I'm like, oh, Tay Diggs is in this movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, Tay Diggs, and I'm
Tay
like,
Diggs.
Yeah, that's Tay Diggs. And this is Tay for Tay Diggs. This was like his career. Really, he started really his big breakout was in with how Stella got her groove back. It was like in the late '90s, I think. Then it was The Best Man, which kind
Yeah.
of blew him up. I would say House on Haunted Hill is in that movie as well. They kind of put him out there, but uh, I think this movie, you can tell Tay Diggs was still essentially an unknown in this film.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this came in 2003. I think some of those movies were late 90s, early 2000s. He was still unknown, but he still, was a name, I think, because I remember him in House on Haunted Hill, which I believe is 1999. I feel he was a bigger actor than Brian Van Holt, who's the guy that's being questioned. I won't say he's bigger than Giovanni Ribisi because he was pretty big for that time. But I think they could have switched roles with Brian Van Holt. I don't. I think he's great in the movie, but I think Tay should have had a bigger role than he did. I think he was just more popular, even though he was still young. I just feel that he was more popular and he would have did more box office for them, I guess, than the Brian Van Holt, which I think he's great in the movie. It's just wasn't a big name. I didn't know who he was at this point in time.
And honestly, at this point in time, like today and this year, right now, I just went and looked at his IMDb. I can't really say I've seen anything that
he was in
memorable that he was
House of Wax. He played the villains in that. I think he did a TV show. Like
Quantum Leap, it says, but I don't remember him in the new show. But I didn't watch all the episodes of that. Let's see. Yeah, he did. I don't see. Yeah, I agree with you though, because like Tay Diggs was more of a name at this point than this Brian Van Holt, for sure. But I think the twist with it being, it's like the twist of, but wait, he's actually Pike, and Dunbar is, the other one or whatever.
Yeah,
it was actually a really good twist. The thing that I seen coming from the very beginning, and even though I've seen it, but I totally forgot about this movie. The thing that I seen from the very beginning was that the guy that plays the sergeant, the main guy,
Tim Daly from
Wings. Yeah, him being the villain. I seen that coming from a mile away.
I did too. Very first time he was on screen, he kind of let something slip the way he was acting. And I've seen some people online gripe about this, that he was miscast. He wasn't very good in this role. And I have to agree. He wasn't. He's not the caliber of a John Travolta, a Sam Jackson, or even a Connie Nielsen. He's
not believable as this character either. Just really not. Like he said, like that. I don't know if it's writing or what. When he says golly, just the golly stuff, and like shucks, like it just doesn't fit with the premise of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know who I would have got for that role, but he shouldn't. He was miscast. I like him. I think he's great in Wings. I liked him in that Stephen King miniseries. I forget the name of it, but I thought he was great in that.
I would have cast Alec Baldwin. He would have been perfect.
Yeah.
He could play a good villain.
Yeah, you're right.
He could play a convincing good guy, but is a villain. But actually is a villain because he has the energy.
And at that point in time, he was still very, very relevant. I mean, I'm not saying he's not relevant today because he is for the wrong reasons, but he was even in the mid 2000s. He had that comedy, stuff on the SNL and 30 Rock, and so I mean, I agree. Alec was one of those guys that could have played a villain. He could have played the hero. He could have played anything. He's the definite Baldwin. He's amazing as an actor. Maybe not as a human. We won't go in that, but he's amazing as an actor. And he would have been great for this role.
Those are what we're talking about. We're talking about the movie Basic. I'm sorry, I didn't put that up there.
Yeah. But I liked all the twists and turns. I love the interrogation scene once John's character gets there. Because he's like, I bet I can make him talk in 5 minutes, I think. I bet you $10 I can make him talk in 5 minutes. He starts talking baseball. I just love it that he's got him some donuts. He's got coffee. He says you don't have to talk. You can eat still without talking. I love how calm he is. Like he's very
related. Like he's very likable.
Yeah.
Like we'll open up to him.
Yeah. And he finally gets in talk and says, I don't like baseball. It's it's too slow. It's a game of anticipation. And I'm like, I don't like baseball much either today, but I grew up on it, but I agree, it is a game of anticipation. But I just love how he portrayed this scene with Brian Van Holt, and Connie's just kind of watching, and then she plays back up and she says, I'm gonna, like, I think it was the wink. I'm not sure. Maybe it was the nose. But she yells at him, says, that's good cop, bad cop, but I don't want to mess with you. I don't want to play games. Caught her off guard. Like, what are you doing? This is not what we agreed to do. And it's like, he kind of reminds me of, in wrestling terms, Roddy Piper. You think you got all the answers? I'm going to change the questions.
Yeah.
He's a very rebellious character in this movie. He doesn't really want to be there, but he kind of is there because he's trying to help a friend, or so you think. You don't know his motives at all until the very last 5 minutes of the movie, which I think is great.
Looking back at Travolta's, film credit, like in '96 he had Michael, and then Face Off, he took off with that.
Yeah,
he had some underwhelming things in the middle of that. Mad City, Primary Colors. I don't think that was well received. Civil Action.
I received it well, but yeah, go ahead.
The Junior's Daughter was good, but then he had, like, right before this one, in 2000, he had Battlefield Earth, and then he had Lucky Numbers. Was it Lucky Numbers?
Yeah, that was with Lisa Kudrow. Yeah.
Then he had Swordfish, which I think was also a flop.
It was.
And then Domestic Disturbance, which I liked that one. I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it too. It was a flop.
It wasn't well received. And then he's an Austin Powers Gold member. I don't remember him being in that.
I haven't seen it. I don't think he had another hit until he did Wild Hogs with Tim Allen, Martin, and William H. Macy.
The Punisher in 2004 after this.
Was that a flop too, or was that successful?
Be Cool, which I like Be Cool.
It was a flop.
It was a flop. But Wild Hogs was a hit. Hairspray was well received, I think.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
Bolt was good. I think that was well received. They did good business. And then he did Old Dogs with Robin, which was a massive flop. And then his career hasn't really. He did From Paris with Love, which was really good, but it was a flop. And he hasn't had a theatrical release since, I don't believe.
No, he hasn't. Hopefully it's not finished for him. Like, I'll say this. If Nick can have, and I'm not discrediting, I don't want to say this to sound like I'm discrediting Nick, because Nick is tremendous, and he's a good actor, and he deserves that he's starting to be noticed again. Yeah. But I'm just saying, if Nick can have a resurgence, I think Travolta probably can have a resurgence as well. Yeah. It just takes the right role for him to get. That's what it took for Nick. I think Nick started picking back up with Pig. I think
that horror film he did, though, that horror film that he did, I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
With Mandy.
Yeah. That got him some attention, but Pig really got him Oscar buzz, which he didn't get nominated, but a lot of people thought it should have been nominated. His performance in general should have been nominated. He did give a good performance, and I agree with you that their careers kind of parallel each other, which is funny since they did do Face Off and they played each other. But they really do parallel each other. Like it's weird that John Travolta and Nicolas Cage have had similar career paths. Like they've done really bad movies, and yeah, I mean I know Travolta did some flops, but today he does really bad movies. It's embarrassing. And I'm a massive Travolta fan. He's my favorite, to be honest, and I hate that he's in this position. It saddens me because he's a talented actor, but he does really bad movies.
I think he makes bad choices. I'm going to throw this out there. I think, and I think about Godspeed to Bruce Willis, but I think like Bruce started just signing up to do anything, pretty much. He's like, I give the same thing to Liam Neeson. I feel like his stuff is just straight red box. So even though he still gets theatrical releases, but I feel like it's red box quality stuff. He hasn't really had anything, but I haven't really watched him either. But I don't think he has anything to really grab me. It seems the same thing. It's Taken, but a variation of that.
Yeah, he seems to be taking the Seagal approach when Seagal was doing basically the same thing over and over and over. He seems to be taking that approach, but he is doing the Naked Gun remake. So maybe I love Liam Neeson. I hope it does well, but more importantly, I hope it doesn't embarrass the franchise. What became before it. I don't expect them to be as good as the original Naked Gun movie, but hopefully it'll be decent. But yeah, I agree with Travolta though. He can get a resurgence, but he needs that right role. And right now, he doesn't really have the franchises. I mean, he can't do another Look Who's Talking. I mean, that's embarrassing. I know there's talk of the Face Off sequel, maybe, but I don't know. I guess he can make fun of himself like Cage did, but
yeah, Cage is now like Cage is in a magic place in his, and even now he's still getting Oscar buzzes with the dream one.
Yeah, like that. I didn't get to see that, but yeah, I heard it was. He gave a good performance. I haven't really heard if the movie's good, but I expect it to be. But it's A24, so I expect it to be different compared to it.
Basic though, I feel like it's a product of its time in the sense of like they made jokes, like where Travolta was trying to come on to Osborne.
Yeah.
And I thought they were kind of like, I was like, ooh, I kind of cringed at those moments. Giovanni Ribisi is supposedly homosexual. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But I thought he gave a really good performance. He seemed kind of mentally, he didn't seem like all that. You know what I'm saying? Like he would have. I ain't trying to say nothing, but I just feel like he gave that performance as if he was not in the military. Maybe that he was on drugs or something. I don't know. Maybe because he's a good little actor. You know who I would have loved to see in this movie is Sam Rockwell. Just think about that. Sam Rockwell would have been excellent in this film. Now,
yeah, I
don't think of who he'll be though.
He had a similar look as Giovanni, as far as looks go back in that time. But I guess he could have played Mueller. I don't. But that's a big muscle guy though. But as far as acting skill, he could have played that character. Because you look at him in The Green Mile. I mean, he's very out there. I like Giovanni in this movie. I mean, he played this role in my eyes, similar to how he played his role in The Gift. Mentally unstable, Not sure what's really happening inside his head. It's, but yeah, he does play a homosexual son to a general. And the reason he put him in Wes's, group was to get him to quit. Because it would look bad, and it is a product of its time. Because I remember you brought it up earlier, the general's daughter. That they did some stuff there where they tried to get people to quit that would look bad, or a scandal. So it was a product of its time, and I guess I can see why you could get those two films confused, because he is an investigator, he's investigating something in the military, but in both films. So one's a disappearance, one's a murder. So I get it. At first, I was like, these characters are too different. They're very different, but
both of them I haven't seen since the initial scene and back in.
Yeah.
How long ago General's daughter was? Like 2000, I feel like, or 90 something.
99. Yeah. I did a book report on that movie, on that book, and I didn't finish the book in time, so I had to watch the movie to finish it. I got caught up on the set acts of that story. It got me a C.
The thing that bothered me the most in this movie.
Yep.
I understand the different plot twists and stuff. There's several plot twists.
Mm-hmm.
The main plot twist was Dunbar and Piker swap places.
Yeah.
And then another plot twist was the guy that plays Dunbar, Brian Van Holt, is actually part of the Section 8 elite force.
Yeah.
And with Samuel Jackson's West. And he's with Hardy. They're all working together. And they're working with Nunez. And they're working with Pike, but the ones that they weren't working with was really Mueller and I think Kendall, yeah, they were actually dirty. And so it was a good little plot twist. I see what they're trying to set up for a franchise.
Yeah, they were.
But it's very much like, honestly, if you think about it, very similar, sort of, to what just happened with the movie we watched with Kevin Hart. Essentially, like, they're trying to set up for a sequel with the lady joining them, and they can still be a part of the team.
Playing,
but but clearly, I hope that don't happen.
That probably will happen since it debuted on Netflix.
When Kevin Hart's attached, and Kevin Hart can poop gold right now, unfortunately, and it's sad to say. It's sad to say because Kevin Hart, his product, his movies aren't pretty high quality to me. Like, I can't think of one that I'm like, oh, I want to watch a Kevin Hart movie tonight. Now, the stuff that he does where he's serious is actually really good. Like, The Upside, or whatever that one with
Brian that was Upside.
Yeah.
And he did Fatherhood or something. I haven't seen it, but I know that was on Netflix as well.
Yeah.
I know he got a good report on that. He gave a good performance. I haven't seen it. But I do agree with you. I'm a big Kevin Hart fan, but I do agree when it's just him by himself leading the film, it's nearly a disaster. It really is. And he did one with Travolta called Die Hard.
Oh, yeah, you told me. I hadn't seen it.
Travolta's hilarious in it, but everything else is a disaster. Like, Travolta got me through it. Kevin Hart was borderline boring. And I'm a big fan of his, but
does he do all his yell? He has his yelling thing.
Yeah.
Like, him and Samuel Jackson is Samuel Jackson. I will say this: with every character that Samuel Jackson plays, you believe that he is that character because he puts himself in those characters. But you believe that he is those characters. Even the character he played in Django was like believably Samuel Jackson in that role.
Yeah.
But and he is acting royalty. I put him
Yeah.
up there. He's acting royalty. It is what it is. He's gold too. I feel like he's gold. I think that he 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 picked his poison well. Black Snake Moan wasn't great, but he picked his poison well.
I mean, he had his time frame where he was in a lot of stuff that weren't the greatest, but he rebounded. And I feel he rebounded when he signed with Marvel. He stayed relevant by playing Nick Fury, and he would get a few roles here and there that he really got to shine in, whether it was Django or The Hateful Eight or any Tarantino film, I guess. When he works with Tarantino, he gives Oscar-worthy performances.
I would say actually Samuel, because I think the movie that really catapulted him back into like the limelight would have been the Star Wars films, like Episode One, the trilogy, the
Yeah,
uh, and then he did like right before this movie he did Changing Lanes with uh,
Ben
uh,
Affleck.
Ben Affleck. He had Episode Two, I think, right before this. He had
Mhm.
Triple X, which wasn't. I mean, it was a hit, but it wasn't the greatest of the films. Uh, but that's also when Vin Diesel was kind of in his bag too. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, he had some good stuff. But what actually took him, because even like you said, even in Star Wars, he wasn't he wasn't Samuel Jackson. He wasn't like
no,
like the one where you're like, oh, Sam's in this movie. I think it was after like Snakes on the Plane kind of gave him infamy because like they thought it'd be funny to see Samuel Jackson on the movie fighting snakes
yeah,
on the plane, and it worked. And I think that from that point, like you said, the Marvel stuff now has launched him to where Samuel Jackson is Samuel Jackson. If you got him in your movie, most of the time he's going to help your product. It's not always because
yeah.
that
Not
movie
always.
a couple of years ago, Lady Assassin, I think it's a flop. I don't even remember what it was.
Who's in it with him?
Some lady, I don't know. She was an assassin, and he was like her mentor, the protege.
Okay, okay. You talking? I know who you're talking about. With Michael Keaton.
Yeah, you forgot about it, didn't you?
No, no, no. I actually, I liked it for what it was. The girl was from a TV show I liked with Kiefer Sutherland, Designated Survivor. She was in that. Maggie
Okay,
Q.
yeah,
Maggie
and he
Q.
was also in Spiral, but
Yeah.
don't get me started on that waste of a time of a movie.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that movie wasn't like a big blockbuster, but for a
But it
January
wasn't.
release, it was fine.
But, yeah. It wasn't because of Samuel. It wasn't because of Samuel Jackson. He was good in that role.
Yeah, it was
Chris
just
Rock miscast. He shouldn't have been in that role. Totally not. I'm serious. Chris Rock, man, Chris Rock is an actor. Listen, Chris Rock, you gotta really pick your poison when it comes to Chris, because you put him in something, you just put him in something that's comedic, he may be okay. You try to put him something that's like where he has to be a dramatic character, Chris isn't gonna hit his mark. And I hate to say this, I hate the comparison. I know they're not even the same person, but they're connected. He's no Will Smith. The difference is Will Smith. Will Smith.
you had to go there.
Will Smith can play something funny. I will give his day. He could be in something that's kind of hilarious. He could be an
Yeah,
action. He could be a dramatic. He's an actor. He
he is.
is an actor. He is. But I don't think Chris is the same caliber of an actor. He's okay in comedic things, but I don't think
Chris.
he does well
Chris
in
is on the
dramatic.
same level as Kevin Hart, kinda.
There you go. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
He's
Everybody wants to pull out a Robin Williams. but everybody got the depth of a Robin Williams. Robin was able to play a comedic role, but then play a very dark, interesting character like in
Yeah.
what's that? That about the photo, 1 hour photo.
1 hour photo. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, not every comedic actor can do it all. It's hard. It's not easy. It's very difficult. You have to put your soul into the character, and you have to deliver. And it may be easier for them to do comedies because they're funny. But you playing a dramatic role, it's a different ball game. It really is. And you can get lost in it. You can lose yourself in that. I've done it myself. I ain't gonna go into it, but yeah. So yeah, but back to basic. Well, I guess we can get to the end. Where they're figuring stuff out,
yeah,
and
baby.
And there's a multiple plot twist at this point. We get to the point where Tim Daly's behind it all. He's corrupted.
Right.
Yeah. And Travolta has known this the entire time. He knew. And my question, though, during this part of the scene where he's about to walk out, because he thinks Travolta's going to take the bribe because he's being investigated. Did he know that Connie's character was there and going to shoot him?
I don't know.
That's taking a lot of leap of faith, knowing you got this guy on edge. You're not taking his bribe. I felt he knew he had a gun. He knew he was probably going to point a gun at him and shoot him if he walked out that door. I just don't know if he knew Connie's character was watching.
Yeah. I don't know. I will say this too. Another thought I have. So at one point, do you feel like he used this as a recruitment just to see how Connie would respond to certain situations?
Yeah.
Like to see how, because for instance, like he said, like the moment that kind of sticks out to me is when he was like, "Hey, we can just we got our guy. We can just call it a day, let it be. How far do you want to go up this thing? Because right now it's good, signed off on it. He's getting, and she's like, no, I won't, So they went to see Tim Daly, and now I think about him in Wings. You're right, he is Tim Daly, and she's like, I have one more question for you, and just like poking the bear just a little bit, because I think that's when Travolta found out that she's a real investigator, and so she'd be perfect maybe for them.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he was testing her to see how far she was willing to go, to see if she's the right, is right for the Section 8. I love that he just watches her interrogate Harry Connick Jr. So how about them Yankees?
I love that thing where she takes the phone book or whatever and just whops them.
Yeah.
Like, it came out of nowhere. I thought, ooh,
And then that's when he said, how about them Yankees? It all came back to baseball. He truly is a baseball fan. The DEA agent, Tom Hardy, which I thought was weird that his name was Tom Hardy. And now I hear Tom Hardy, I think of the actor, but back then, yeah, it was weird. But yeah, so she shoots Tim Daly's character, shoots him dead, and it's raining out, and she's got her vehicle on. He says, "Don't worry about a thing, Osborne. It's all about how you tell the story." I don't know if that's tell the story right or
tell the story right.
Yeah, and she starts playing that in her head. That's what Pike and Dunbar said. Now he's saying it. So she's going to follow him. Yo, Bill Fur.
Hey, Bill Fur.
How it be?
We're talking basic 2003. Yeah, so as you said, that she follows him because she thinks, oh, Travolta Hardy is the one that killed West. He
Yeah.
actually was there and he did the killing. He killed West because he wanted him dead, like everybody else wanted him dead.
Yeah.
You know, and so she goes and confronts him, gun drawn, says, "You did it. You were the guy that killed West." You know, and 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 then all of a sudden West pops up and like, "So I'm dead, huh?" You know, something like that. Very Avengers like, very you know,
Yeah.
innocent. But the plot and right then you're like, oh, I have marked out because it was like, yes, we got Travolta and Jackson on screen together, and I'm like, man, it's major for those that grew up watching Pulp Fiction, man, just seeing them
Mm-hmm.
together.
But I remember seeing this for the very first time and seeing Sam's character pop up at that moment. I was like, what is going on? That twist I didn't see coming.
No, I didn't see it coming. I forgot. I forgot. Literally, I forgot. It was like watching the movie for the first time. Yeah, I totally forgot all everything that happened in the film.
Yeah, so I love their banter back and forth. That just gave me vibes of Pulp Fiction again. And I was like, man, if the whole movie would have been this would have been one of the most entertaining back and forth banter I've ever seen, which
They
Pulp
missed the.
Fiction is. But
They
it would have,
missed. I think they missed a pivotal moment, Brandon. They should have had Samuel Jackson come out eating a very tasty cheeseburger.
yes, that would have been hilarious. But yeah, I mean, I love the banter we got from them. It's just, I know what they were doing. They were setting it up for that sequel. We were going to get them together the whole time. Just one little problem. It didn't make any money. Well, it didn't make its money back. So we never got that sequel. Unfortunately, well, for me, unfortunately, I really liked the movie, um, but for what it was, I mean, the mystery of this film, I thought they handled it really well. I thought Travolta's character played well with others. He made it more interesting than it probably had any right to be. Just the way he played it. Um, um, I want to say one thing though about Sam's character when they're attacking him in the bunker and he escapes, and the girl says, "I'm gonna go do this." He's like, he shoots her coming out. So pretty, so I loved that little line, and I just thought that's villainous Sam right there. Like they did a good job with his character where you didn't know if he was truly evil or truly the good guy.
I will
Like,
say this, like making that comparison that you just said. So if you look at his character in this movie and compare it to his character in Hateful Eight, like you can see like the evolution of that type of character.
yeah,
He was in Hateful Eight. He was very much borderline between the good guy and the villain.
yeah,
The whole, and so yeah. Uh, I will say this before we get to our marks. Um, I see a situation in which this. What if Netflix was to reboot this, but in a way where you bring back Samuel, you bring back John. I would say even maybe even Tay Diggs for a one-off or something like that in it. I don't think anybody else is really worth bringing back. Maybe Connie, but just bring them back, and they're now the older heads, and they're trying to recruit new groups of the Section 8 to kind of take the mantle. Uh, and it's them trying to, and they can lean into a dark comedy type of thing
yeah,
with it. It's good. It'd be good to see John and Samuel together. Of course, Samuel will get the top money because Samuel Jackson is Samuel Jackson.
yeah. He's
But
still very much relevant.
John
So
will get second billing. But I can see that being a really good little film. What do you think?
yeah, if you're recruiting somebody though, I think you got to go maybe the guy that was in Baby Driver. I think he could fit
guy.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know his name. I think it's Anson or something like that. But
Yeah.
I think he would be really good for something like that.
Uh,
But yeah,
I would
I would be all in for this. I mean,
I'll say they can recruit O'Shea Jackson Jr. I think he'd be good as a member. Depending on what they're looking for, what they're trying to get.
yeah, I haven't seen much. I mean, I loved him in him playing his dad, but I haven't
Well,
seen
unless
too
he
much
wants
of
to
him.
go serious. He's going to go serious. I like Lakeith Stanfield or whatnot. I like him. I think he's an excellent actor. But it can be called back to basics.
Yeah, it could be back to basic. It would
Definitely
be
can help.
interesting though if I seen him touch this property again. I would say it'd be a remake just with how things are.
Yeah,
Which
I would love. I like the remake reboot legacy character thing. It would be great to have Hardy. See Hardy now, bald head Hardy living in his hardiness with
yeah,
a bald Samuel Jackson living in his westerness, and they're them two together, and they're recruiting people to be like a part of this new elite Section 8 unit. Because like they can have even in the beginning of it, you can have them going on a mission, them all as old as they are, and a couple of the members die.
yeah.
Maybe the Castro guy dies, maybe the Nunez lady dies,
You know what it would be?
Dunbar would die.
Truthfully, what this would be if they did reboot it with legacy characters, this
Mm-hmm.
would be a better version of the Expendables. Because it wouldn't depend. It would depend on storytelling and not just blowing stuff up like they did in the '80s. And
I
I
agree.
think that's the difference between those guys and those guys that came in the '90s, like Sam, Travolta, Cage. I think their action films were more about storytelling,
It's
and
more psychological. They
yeah.
were.
So if they did this, I would see it being a better version of the Expendables. And that's no knock on Sly. I'm not mad at you. It's just I remember when Expendables came out and the fans wanted John Travolta as the villain, and he responded to a question, and he said, "I love John. He's a friend of mine. I directed him in Staying Alive, but I do not and cannot see him as an action star." And my jaw dropped. I was like, did you not see Broken Arrow? Did you not see Face Off, From Paris with Love? I mean,
wasn't he in is he yeah, I'm trying to think of some more movies but yeah, no, I definitely put John Travolta in the action 90s
yeah.
action star yeah
I mean, you
area
can
and
even
he
include Basic. You can include The General's Daughter because it has action in it, but he was one of the coolest villains, growing up. I mean,
Punisher.
I mean, honestly, find me a better villain than Castor Troy, played by either Nick Cage or John Travolta. Give me a better villain that's more entertaining than that guy.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say. Because there's no villain in any Stallone action movie that's as entertaining. But yeah, I stand by what I said with Basic. If they did redo it, it would be a better version of the Expendables.
Let's give my marks. Ready?
Okay.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I'll give this 4 mark outs out of 5. I thought it was a really enjoyable movie. I was never bored watching it. I was engaged by the story. I totally didn't remember how the story was going to go. I lit up every time Samuel Jackson was on screen, and the only lull in it would have been Connie's accent, and some of her scenes kind of pulled down the chemistry a bit. But I actually really enjoyed it. I thought John Travolta was gold in it. Stimulation Man, Wesley Snipes' best villain. He was a really good villain. He's a real, especially in the '90s, late '80s, early '90s in New York, New Jack City. He was perfect as Nino Brown. He was Butthole. Have you ever seen New Jack City?
Once. Is that with him and Ice-T?
Yeah.
Yeah, once. I don't remember it though. But I remember he was like a drug dealer or something.
Yeah, Nino Brown.
But yeah, Dennis Hopper's also in that, right? Or am I mistaken? I remember renting it once because I was a big Wesley Snipes fan, and I'm not going to disagree with you on the Wesley Snipes. He was great in that. So
next week. It's my pick. I don't want to do New Jack.
But I'm giving it the same score, 4 out of 5. I think it's a very entertaining movie. I think this is one of the last great roles that John Travolta had. I would say top 3 in his in the 2000s. He had this, he had From Paris with Love, and he had Wild Hogs. I think those would be his best 3 roles. But yeah, I loved him in this. I love Sam in this. I marked out one every time he was on screen, whether he was making some poor guy's life hell, or he was being hunted down by his own team, or in the last shot with him and Travolta's banter. I mean, it was just, I wanted more Sam Jackson, and that's my biggest gripe, that we didn't get enough of Sam, and we didn't get the interactions that we should have got between him and John. But overall, I had fun with it. Still to this day, it's very entertaining. I wasn't bored. I loved the performances. Maybe not Connie's. I do agree. Her accent was off. But overall, I thought she did a good job. I mean, it's playing the character of this kind of rookie investigator. The one I thought was horrible was Tim Daly. But, overall, I had a really good time.
Terrible choice. Like, if Alec Baldwin would have been better.
Yeah, I mean,
somebody could have afforded Alec Baldwin in the 2000s.
I mean, any bigger actor at that time, could have been better. I mean, Tim just wasn't very established. He didn't have, many big roles other than Joe Hackett from Wings at this point in time. I mean, I can't think of one movie before that, because I think that Stephen King came out. It wasn't even a movie.
It was the other guy from Wings.
No. He did about the children going missing in the I can't remember the name of it. But
Knockers? The Tommy Knockers? I don't know.
No.
I know the other guy was in. He was in the remake of Stephen King's telling of what is it? With the hotel.
The Shining.
The Shining. Yeah, that's right. The other guy from Wings.
No, that was the guy that played Brian. But no, Tim. It was kind of like this stranger appear. He's basically the devil, and he's coming.
Yes, Storm of the Century.
There you go. He was good in that.
Oh wow, it was him. Okay,
yeah.
Always it was him. I only remember. I think is it Mike Gross in it? Is it Michael Gross in it? Is it no? That's not Michael Gross. Who's that? That plays the villain. He looks a lot like Michael Gross.
He does look like Michael Gross. I can't think of his name. He was kind of a big deal though back then, playing villainous characters.
Yeah, he's a really good actor. I just can't think of his name. What is it? Storm of the Century.
Yeah.
Storm of the Century was a good little. Stephen King at one point was on it with Colm Feore.
Yeah, him.
Okay. Yeah. Man, and it had Jeffrey Dahmer in it too. It had Walking Dead folks up in this movie, in the show.
Yeah, Dale
was in it.
Well, he's appeared in a few Stephen King stuff, so I mean, that guy's just great.
Yeah. All right, so that was our basic. So I was planning on us doing Dune 2, but we're gonna wait and see about that. But I figure we'll go ahead and jump into it eventually. So why don't we do it? Are you up to watch The Boys season 1 next week?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. So next week will be The Boys season 1.
The Boys season 1.
Yeah. I think you'll like this take on superheroes.
How many episodes is that? 8 or 10?
I think it's about 8. I don't know.
I know it's Amazon, so I know it's short.
Yeah. Hey, let me say this real quick. I am so thankful that I'm gonna be honest. I'm so thankful that shows are starting to do that. All right, so season 1 has 8 episodes. Um, I'm so thankful that shows are starting to do that. Are just doing short seasons. Uh, yeah, don't, no spoilers. Thank you, Bill, I appreciate it. But yeah, uh, yeah, I'm thankful for uh, shows doing shorter episodes because at one point shows would go for like 22 episodes and stuff, especially stuff to be on like ABC or NBC.
Mm-hmm.
I think it makes sense that you could condense the stories into like 8 or 9 episodes because it cuts out all the filler episodes, things you don't need, and you gotta move the story forward. What's your thoughts on that?
I think it depends. Like if it's like Supernatural, I want that to be 22 episodes because that's 22 mysteries you get to solve with them.
Yeah, that's different.
But even they cut it down towards the end, so I think it really depends on the material. If it's based on a book or a graphic novel, I agree. I think it should be shorter because they're usually not too long, and you don't want to drag it out. Which is kind of why I think Reacher is perfect at 8 episodes. And I know The Boys is based on a graphic novel, so I'm pretty sure that's going to be perfect as 8 to 10 episodes. Yeah. So I think if it's based on literary work, it shouldn't be too long.
Did you ever watch Castle Rock?
Not yet. Not yet. It's on my list.
That'd be a good choice. Well, if you ever want to choose it, I'll be willing to watch that show with you again.
Okay.
Because I really enjoyed it. Castle Rock, I think. Let's see, season 1 had 10 episodes.
Yeah, it's short.
Season 2 had 10 episodes as well. But yeah, Stephen King at one point, bro. It ain't got nothing to do it, but I'm a big Stephen King mark, so I like his shows, I like his books, and so I like Stephen King stuff. It is what it is. I like Stephen King movies. I tend to watch Stephen King adaptations.
Yeah, I mean, if he comes out with an adaptation, I want to see it. Like, I was very surprised at 11/22/63. I mean, I knew what it was about, but I didn't expect it to go in the direction it went in, with...
Yeah, what was your thoughts on that before we close? What is your thoughts on that?
I thought it was... Honestly, I think it's James Franco's best work as an actor. I really do. I think it happened before his allegations, but I thought he was really good in that role. I love the story between him and Sadie. The JFK stuff came more of a background noise for me. Honestly, I was more invested in that and the people they were associated with at the school, everything else. The guy he meets in Kentucky, the guy he's trying to help as a kid, his father kills the family. I mean, I was more invested in those other storylines than him trying to stop the JFK assassination. So I really enjoyed it.
What got me about the show, I loved it too. What got me about the show is, I'm a big mark for anything dealing with time travel.
Yeah.
And so the moment I watched, and I went into that show Cold Turkey, like not knowing what it's going to be about. So the moment that I realized that, I was like, I'm in here. I love this. Oh, you can go to a different time through was it like a closet or a back door or something like that
Yeah.
at the restaurant? I hadn't seen it in so long, but and then I read or I think I listened to the graphic novel, not graphic novel, the book, the novel,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I really enjoyed that as well. Uh, so of course I listen to Stephen King. I don't like to read books. Prefer to listen to books, uh, so I can kind of see it and picture it, a little bit more. But yeah, man, I absolutely loved it. I'm a big Mark Steven man. The last, and then we can end this. I'm sorry we're just dragging, but the last Stephen King book I listened to was, I can't remember the name, but it was um, it's essentially the Sixth Sense. It's a kid who sees dead people and is able to do things. You know,
It's the Institute.
no, is that the thing? No, this is uh, it's about like uh him. It's like him and his mother. She's like a single mother. Um, let me see. Stephen King. Let's see. I'm trying to pull it up. But the last one that I listened to before that, let's see, Stephen King. Let's see, books. All right. That was. I'm looking. I thought I was gonna have it in order, but okay, let's not do that. It was something about this ain't all his books, bro. It's something about like they were. I'm seeing the other things that says Stephen King, like Boogeyman. Didn't know that.
Yeah, he did that.
Uh, it, I don't remember it, man. If I can find it. But
The
anyway,
short
it
story
was.
was better than the movie, but
Uh, I don't remember the name of it. But anyway, it was an excellent little book. But before that, I did listen to The Sale, which I know the movie was. I didn't see the movie, but I heard the movie wasn't good. But the book was pretty interesting. Um, I just wish I can. I don't know what did you like, or what do you like? As I'm looking this up.
I honestly haven't read much of his novels. It's more of his short stories. I was trying to read his short stories first before I took on the novels, but the last novel I read was Gerald's Game, and it just kind of messes me up. Because the movie didn't go in details like the book did, and you really see it when you're reading that book. When you really enter that book, okay, it's just there's a lot that I just couldn't stomach, and it had nothing to do with the guy that was watching her while she was handcuffed. It has to do with her dad, and it's very visual, and it's hard.
Found it. Later is the name of it. Later.
Later,
Yeah.
I haven't
Later.
heard of that one.
Yeah. And then also his son does some excellent stuff as well. Um, his son does some really good stuff. But yeah, I like. And then like that other person, he a handful of ghosts. I forget who it is. Trembly maybe. I might be wrong. Might not be Trembly. But that was good. I didn't like Knock at the Cabin Door. Whatever that one. I didn't like that. But anyway, it's on tangent. That's the episode, guys. I know it went long. Man, what do we want people to do?
If you like this episode and you want to see more, click that like button, click that subscribe button, and comment and share the Mark Out Movie Podcast so others can become known of us. Hope you liked it. Thank you, Bilfer. Thanks for tuning in. He said, "Nice job, nice show, fellas."
Sorry, Bipper. Thank you.
But nice choice as well.
I didn't mean to do this banner. I don't
Best
know what happened.
20 movie.
We're not doing another episode. All right. Head Full of Ghosts, Paul G. Tremblay. Great audiobook. Thought they was gonna make it a movie. They haven't done it yet. It's an excellent little story. I really enjoyed that. But thank you all for listening and watching. Stay safe. And on the meantime, and in between time, Aaron Whitlow,
Brandon Spivey.
we're the Mark Out Movie Podcast. Thanks for marking out with us.